lowest, greatest, highest, I will come to thee.
Today's lesson is part 4 of our series on the obscure, misread, and misinterpreted. This lesson today could fit in all 3 parts of our title because all of its details are found in 2 verses, which makes it easy to misread and misinterpret. Our lesson comes from Jacob. I'm sure you remember how Jacob fooled his dad into giving him the birthright instead of his brother Esau. Jacob flees for his life and he begins a new life with Laban. Let's read part of the story starting in Genesis 29 and verse 13. Then it came to pass when Laban heard the report about Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. So he told Laban all the things, and Laban said to him, "Surely you are my bone and my flesh." And he stayed with him for a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, "Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be?" Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel was beautiful of form and appearance. Now Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, "I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter." And Laban said, "It is better that I give her to you than I should give her to another man. Stay with me." So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed only a few days to him because of the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her." And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. Now it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Jacob, and he went in to her. And Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a maid. So it came to pass in the morning that, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me?" And Laban said, "It must not be done so in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn." Jacob got tricked just as he tricked his father. So most would say he got what he deserved. The deal he struck with Laban was to serve him for 7 years, and then he would get to marry Rachel. However, Laban distracted Jacob with a feast, and we could certainly make some assumptions about that. But one thing that we know for sure is that Leah had to be involved with all of this because she would have to pretend to be Rachel. Everything was set up just right to deceive Jacob into sleeping with Leah. You can just imagine how surprised Jacob was the next morning to find out that he was married to Leah instead of Rachel. I'm sure most of us remember this scandalous event. However, the next 2 verses are easy to misread regarding this marriage arrangement. In Genesis 29 and verse 27, it says, "Fulfill her week, and we will give you this one also for the service which you will serve me still another 7 years." Then Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, so he gave him his daughter Rachel as wife also. Since Jacob had to labor for 7 years before he could marry Rachel, which turned out to be Leah, we might think he would have to labor another 7 years before he would get to marry Rachel for real this time. However, if you read our verses carefully, it is easy to see that he did not have to work for his uncle for another 7 years before he was allowed to marry Rachel. No, this time he was allowed to marry Rachel 1 week later after his marriage to Leah. If you knew this little fact already, give yourself a pat on the back because many miss this little detail from these 2 verses because it's so easy to overlook. I hope these short lessons in this series will encourage you to look closer at what God's Word says because, as I've been saying, it is so easy to miss little details like the ones that we have been looking at in this series. The more you study God's Word and dig into the details, the more depth you will find, which will cause you to grow as a Christian. So I hope you will make time in your daily life to spend time in God's Word looking very closely at the details.